Hi, it's Earth 1111. It's Roxanne here. So are you an indigo? What about a crystal child? What about a rainbow? I'm here to tell you, you're none of them. These are not types of souls. They are phases, stages of the ascension into a cosmic being, a God consciousness creator being. I'll talk about all of them today, and you can find out what stage you are in and where you can see yourself going next on Earth 1111. So it all starts with indigo. That was kind of the first catchphrase that people used. What is an indigo warrior? An indigo is someone who has awakened into a knowingness, a knowing that there is truth beyond what they see. So they're kind of in their heads a lot. They're in the thinking stage, overanalyzing everything. But they haven't really awakened to their power yet. They haven't realized that everything out there is just a mirror to everything within themselves. So they're kind of more in the stage where they've awakened, they're trying to wake people up. They're trying to get people to get it, to see the truth, because the systems are corrupted and the world is corrupted and the governments are against us. So typically there'll be people that protest a lot. They are very outspoken. They're constantly trying to get others to awaken and to see things from their point of view. And that's hence why they're that indigo color. Their aura, their consciousness level at that point in time is indigo, which is a mix between the blue of the throat chakra, which is communication, expression, and the violet of the third eye, which is seeing truth, which is seeing something beyond the veils of the physical. It's quite masculine in the energy, because people that are in that stage of separation consciousness see things as outside of themselves. They see themselves separate from another, from what they see in the world. It's outside people that are the bad people. They haven't really come into the 0 point yet, into their knowingness, to realize that the real power comes from their hearts, comes from within. It comes from the ability to have their power and not be victims to anyone in the outside world. So that's really why they're also known as warriors. They're people that typically will fight for a cause. They'll protest, they'll yell and scream, try to convince others. They don't believe in authority. They question everything. They're always overanalyzing. But that's also showing that they're in their heads. They're in their minds, which is the masculine. They're too far on the masculine side of things. Because a masculine type, again, we're all masculine and feminine energies. This has nothing to do with guys. But when someone's in their heads, overanalyzing everything, thinking about things, they're not in their hearts. Two separate, literally, ways of existing. So the next level, when an indigo starts to awaken beyond the fighting for a cause and the trying to wake other people up, when they get beyond that stage, they vibrate higher. They vibrate into what's known as a crystal child or crystal adult stage, which is getting into their 0 point field of their hearts, getting beyond the mind, beyond the ego, because the mind is the ego in a sense where it is always in patterns of belief or what it believes to be true. It doesn't see beyond the logical, linear way of seeing things. And that's hence being in your mind. When you get beyond that, you start vibrating higher, you actually incorporate more feminine aspects of yourself. Again, this is for guys and girls. You incorporate more feminine aspects, which is your intuitive abilities, your ability to have compassion, your ability to see and accept the wholeness of something instead of just the skewed perception. You actually can see things from a more unified state of consciousness. And this is where you start becoming the crystal. You start becoming unified further and further. Again, you're not completely in unity consciousness, New Earth, you are still existing in both separation and unity, but you're going back and forth. Sometimes you're unified, other times you're going back in separation. But when you're a crystal, you start taking upon energies of others. You start becoming what they call empathic, an empath. This is where you start feeling emotions a lot more. You start existing less in your head and more in your heart, feeling your way through life. This is why you get very emotional. People that are crystals take on other people's energies, and they haven't yet learned to decipher between their energy and someone else's. Or they'll go into a room or a place and they'll feel everything, and they think it's themselves, and they're always questioning and doubting and wondering why they aren't feeling good, why they're feeling insecure, fearful. They have bouts of emotion, so they might be becoming rageful, they might get angry, they might be depressed, crying. They're kind of all over the place, because a crystal, and a lot of children are at this point right now, where they take on energies, and this is why they're labeled ADD, ADHD, autistic, hyperactive, sensitive. They're problem children, but really it's because they take on energies, not just of people, situations, but they also take on the emotions of everyone. And so they'll feel, even if someone's pretending to be happy, they'll feel that sadness within someone, because they literally become it. They're existing now in more in their hearts, which means they become a unified state, and they take on the grids, the actual sacred geometries of energies. So everything has a geometry, whether it's an emotion, a thought, food, like chemicals in food. Everything has a vibration and a relating matrix or geometry pattern. And a crystal, because their energy has been crystallized to a certain point, they take on the actual matrix, the actual geometries of everything from food to emotions to people's thoughts. So this is why they're so sensitive, and this is why so many kids are being so sensitive and being misdiagnosed with diseases, with illnesses, with mental health issues. It's because they're taking upon so many chemicals in their food, radiation and negative waveforms from things like their iPads, their iPhones, from Wi-Fi signals. They are taking upon people's emotions. They're feeling the emotions coming up through the earth, because Mother Gaia is purging right now. There's a lot going on. Solar flares, it's unlimited right now. And a crystal feels everything. And again, this is also, like I said, labeled as an empath, because they take on other people's energies and feel everything. When you start, so this is also different. This is also different than being a crystalline consciousness level, which is Christed consciousness. That is a later level. That is when your physical body evolves to be completely in the crystallized form at all times. That'll be later on. I'll talk about that. But a crystal, their nervous system's different. They take on energy grids, matrices of everything. So they're not numbed out like the majority of people. They can't just go through life unaware of what's going on around them. They feel everything. They feel people's emotions. They feel people's thoughts. They see people's blockages, diseases and toxins in their bodies, their medications. So it's really quite a sensitive time when you're a crystal. And you exist, like I said, more in the feminine. But you're still in separation consciousness. So you're still not quite able, like your nervous system has been upgraded, your DNA has been upgraded, but you aren't quite at the level where you have access to everything yet. The rainbow is where you open up higher and higher energies and frequencies, and you start building your light body even more. So your light body's already been started with the crystal level of ascension. When we get to the rainbow level, this is where your light body starts really being built. You start accessing higher chakras, higher frequencies of light, so you become, literally your aura changes to be incorporated with different frequencies, different colors. At the same time, because as above, so below, at the exact same time, your DNA, you are building the rainbow bridge DNA. So for every chakra that you activate and start embodying, you're building that bridge inside your DNA that activate inside your double helix. So you have your double helix, but you build new geometries inside the two separate strands that connect them. So you start literally unifying yourself to become quantum. This is how you start becoming quantum, a rainbow quantum being. This is where you access and you build all of your connections. So this is why when you hear channelers talking about, they open up the rainbow bridge to spirit. Well, that's because they've activated a certain chakra. They see it as a bridge to that chakra, to that plane of existence, that timeline, that dimension above them. But they're actually journeying through their own DNA. And they've actually activated, and they're building. So they haven't quite embodied it and fully completed that template build, because when they will have merged with that part of themselves. They'll have merged with that divine being, the archangel, the ascended master, the god, the goddess, the elementals, the fairies, the galactics, the aliens, whatever they are channeling. So everything is a macrocosmic hologram of the microcosm of inside your DNA. Everything is a hologram. So as you go higher and higher into higher chakras, higher frequencies, you activate higher connections with these beings, these divine beings that in the beginning are separate from you. You see them as separate beings. You're actually going deeper and deeper and deeper into the 0 point field of your own DNA. So you're building new strands of DNA. You're becoming well beyond 2-strand DNA. All of your new DNA strands are built with frequencies of light. So it's like building channels, building highways, superhighways in complete light grid formats. So light doesn't just travel randomly. As you see with your own eyes, your own experiences, the sun, different lights, different frequencies, they travel in wave formats, they travel in geometries. Everything in our existence is created based on sacred geometries, and this is how your DNA, you create different sacred geometries, which is your rainbow bridge pathways, linking up your two separate strands of DNA that is your typical human double helix. When you enter the middle of those two strands, so you merge the two and you start traveling up and down inside the tunnel of your DNA. It's like traveling through a tunnel. It's like traveling through, what is that? A wormhole, a gateway, a portal, all the same thing. When you exist and you travel through portals above you, you're actually traveling through the portal through your own DNA. So everything is a macrocosmic aspect or hologram of the microcosm and vice versa. So the rainbow is someone who is starting to communicate with spirit, starting to access their divine beings from within themselves. So these are people that are starting to build their rainbow bridge pathways, who are now becoming more quantum. They can access different parts of their DNA, different cells, different atoms, different parts of their particle field, their unified field of their, not just their physical body, but all of their energy bodies. And they're able to communicate with this part of themselves. So like I said, everything that you communicate with out there is actually inside you. So a rainbow being has started to be able to communicate and channel these beings, and that's part of the rainbow experience. Once you're done building all of your rainbow bridge pathways and you've anchored in and embodied every single one of your divine beings, you've merged and become the archangels. You've become the ascended masters, the aliens, the elementals, the gods, the goddesses, every single thing, because they're all you. They're aspects of you. You've expanded yourself so much that you've also went so deep inside your own 0 point in your heart, which is also inside the 0 point of your DNA. It's all connected. That's where you then achieve physical body ascension. That's where you start becoming full-fledged quantum. You can literally travel through any of these portals at will. You feel every single thing. You feel every density because you become complete light. The Christed consciousness stage. We'll talk about that next, as well as God consciousness. So we'll talk about those aspects and phases of the ascension in a future video. But just realize, whether you call yourself an indigo, a crystal, or a rainbow, that all these are stages of the ascension, and you will always evolve beyond the level you're at right now. So don't attach, just flow. Flow with the ascension, an embodiment of your soul, the oversoul, and God's source energy, and the universe. We'll see you soon on Earth 1111. Thanks.